Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You have arrived at the seat of all information for Rowan County this afternoon. We welcome you and hope that you enjoy your time you're going to spend with us today. We start every meeting with a solemnizing prayer, which is intended solely for the commissioners and will be delivered by our chaplain, Michael Taylor, senior or junior, whoever's hiding in the back. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. You ready? Yeah. For this day, we thank you for the privilege today to pray on behalf of the county commissioners. We pray, Lord, you give them the wisdom they need today to make the right decisions. We thank you for the time they take to prepare for each meeting they have. We pray you just guide and lead them today. In Jesus' name, amen. 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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point in time, we would like to consider approval of the minutes of the May 16th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like for us to add 2 consent items that information was given to the commissioners. So if we could do that to additions to the agenda, please.
All right. You should have, does everybody have the 2 amendments here? All right, we'll make Rowan County Purchasing Department, we'll make that as item, what is it, P?
P. Mm-hmm.
And then the resolution for the city of Salisbury, number Q.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to accept those 2 additions to our consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of the agenda as amended.
Are there any deletions?
I'll second the approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the
approval of the agenda.
For this approval of the agenda.
Correct.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's get back to the minutes now.
Okay.
I move approval of the minutes for May 16th, 2022.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I make a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. At this point, we're going to do a special recognition. And that recognition will be brought to us by Christian Stebe, if I think that is correct. Would you like to come forward, sir? He is going to do his 4-H presentation and tell us a little bit about 4-H.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Christian Stebe. I'm 18 years old and I'm a recent graduate of West Rowan High School. I was chosen as a delegate through my 4-H agent Laura Allen and Cooperative Extension Director Amy Lynn Albertson to represent Rowan County for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Youth Voice. My purpose here today is to talk to you about how 4-H has impacted my life. I started 4-H at the age of 6 and have been involved in many 4-H clubs over the years. 4-H has enabled me to get involved with the county, district, and regional and state level events. Most of my memorable involvements have been attending 4-H Citizenship NC Focus and 4-H Congress. 4-H Citizenship NC Focus is where I have met my area representatives and called forward our state senator. It is a 3-day event where I have participated in workshops to learn about my local and state government. NC 4-H Congress is a 4-day event where 4-H members come from across the state and make new friends, attend workshops, and develop our life skills so we can become better people. With county events, I've helped raise money for 4-H so I can attend the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners and also to help other 4-Hers go to other events. 4-H has given me the opportunity to do public presentations. I've done presentations on ham radios, beekeeping, and my latest in 2021 was beef char grill, which I have won silver and gold medals in that division. I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you so I can attend the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Youth Voice, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming and bringing that, and we hope you have good luck in your upcoming speeches.
Can we get a picture? That's another requirement, but you guys.
You think that would help him or hurt him?
Well, I don't know.
We will do whatever he thinks best. We'd love to.
Lucky they get to leave.
Did they? Yeah, they all left, didn't they? Lord. Next, we gotta have,
Public comment.
yeah, right, that's what I got. Yeah. All right, at this time, we're going to have public comment, and we have one gentleman signed up for this, Alan Lipson. If you like. Is this in relationship to the road change? All right, if you speak now, you'll have 3 minutes to talk. If you wait till we get involved in this, it'll be unlimited. Okay. So, that'll be fine. All right. At this time, Scott Shelton, Vice President of the Rowan EDC, is going to present a request for the revised incentive terms for Red Rock developments.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for hearing this request from the EDC on behalf of Red Rock Developments. I'll go over some of the project particulars just for the audience's sake. Of course, Red Rock was founded in 2007. They're a privately held real estate development company and has developed about 25 million square feet of Class A industrial product over the last 15 or so years. They're seeking a new site in the Charlotte region, as you're aware, for a new industrial park, and they've identified property on Long Ferry Road as a potential location for this park. It's about 400 acres, comprised of 6 parcels, about half a mile from the Chewy facility near Dukeville Road. And if acquired, Red Rock plans to build 6 buildings totaling about 2.6 million square feet at this location. These will be done over phases. 1 building would be on the northern side of Long Ferry Road. The rest will be on the southern side. And Red Rock estimates about $198 million will be invested in this project. These buildings would be either leased or sold to companies looking to locate or expand in Rowan County. And as far as job and personal property investment numbers, we won't know that until the tenants are in place in the building. Again, plan to develop the park over 3 phases. Phase 1 would be 2 buildings totaling 1.65 million square feet and about $117 million. And those buildings, I think one would be a little over 1 million square feet. The other would be about 600,000. And there's I guess, a site plan for the buildings at this time. And A and D are the ones we're talking about as far as phase 1. Of course, they're going to need to improve the infrastructure on Long Ferry Road. It's going to involve a water main extension, a sewer force main extension, pump station, and also improvements to Long Ferry Road. Red Rock's going to be responsible for the cost of these improvements, which they estimate to be $4.2 million. Now, at your April 4th meeting, the board approved a request from Red Rock that it be reimbursed up to $4.2 million for these improvements. At the time the board approved the incentive, it was under the stipulation that reimbursement would be paid upon lease or sale of the 2 buildings in phase 1 to a third-party job creator. But due to rising costs in construction materials, Red Rock is requesting now that the reimbursement terms be amended. And now they're asking for the $4.2 million reimbursement to be paid upon the issuance of a certificate of completion for the 2 spec buildings I mentioned in phase 1, the 1 million and the 600,000 square foot building. And they anticipate these buildings being completed in the second quarter of 2024. So with that in mind, EDC respectfully requests that the board consider amending the terms of the original incentive agreement to allow payment to Red Rock upon the completion or the issuance of a certificate of completion for the buildings contained in phase 1 of the project. With that, all other previously approved terms in the incentive agreement would remain in place. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. Can you bring the site map back up, please? Are you able to zoom in at all? Yeah. You can probably go down just a little bit and it'll probably show what I wanted to see. Or if you get like 50% or something.
Yeah, other than
75%.
50. Better.
So here at the top, there's this one little house in the middle of all this.
Oh yeah, between buildings D and E, I believe.
D and E. Are they going to purchase that property?
I'm not aware of their plans for that. We do have a representative from Red Rock here. He can probably speak to that, but I'm not aware of anything.
I know the people that live there are worried about living that close to. I mean, because obviously there's a giant industrial park and you got one little house in the middle.
Right.
But I don't know, is that, if you knew anything about that?
No, sir, I don't. But again, I think Red Rock can speak to that. They may have
Okay.
some plans on
All
it.
right.
So.
Oh,
Yeah, that's all.
anybody else? Okay. Scott, thank you for your presentation. And at this time, we're going to open this up for a public hearing to receive citizen input. Is there anybody that would like to come forward at this point in time? Is there anybody from Red Rock that would like to come forward?
Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, I'm Todd Ward, Senior Vice President for Planning with Red Rock Developments. I reside at 301 Fremont Drive, Simpsonville, South Carolina. The few things I'd like to say, we are talking to the property owner. We will not commit to anything, and he knows we will not commit to anything until we actually close on the property, and then that's the appropriate time. We have used the contingency if negotiations do not go well. I'll just put it that way. We're positive, so don't misunderstand. But if they don't, that we have enough setback. It's hard to tell at this scale, but there is enough setback and putting buffers around that, vegetative buffers and screening to do the best we can with that. We do have other developments in other parts of the country where we actually have a mix of residential with our industrial developments. So we're trying to use those lessons learned on the best way to sort of do that mix. But yes, sir, we are talking with the residents there in that home. The other thing I'd like to say is I appreciate the county and the commissioners taking a second look at the incentives. It does make a difference in today's market. We fully expect to have a tenant in place, prior to the end of shell construction, but if not, the 4.2 allows us to do the carrying costs. We believe in Rowan County, and as such, our phase one will be $117 million investment with some good opportunities. Just the way the market's going now, people just don't want to wait. Companies don't want to wait for a full build to suit that may take 12 to 14 months to put in place. So speculative development, fortunate or unfortunate, however you want to look at it, is just how things are working now. The 4.2, we see that a little differently, in our opinion, from other incentives like tax abatement, because it is purely public infrastructure. So it will serve more than just the Red Rock development and allow for future needs going down Long Ferry Road. So again, we see that a little differently. And in our calculations, I don't want to speak for the county on this, just our internal calculation shows the payback on that to be a little over 5 years based on the taxes. And that's just the 117. Please understand, with a shell building, when a tenant comes in, they'll still be doing their upfit. So that'll increase that initial investment on the real property. Then they'll also have their personal property that'll come along with it. And then not to mention all the indirect benefits during construction and everything else. So, again, that was our ask, just to make sure that we could get that back and make a lot of things work. We all have heard the rising construction costs and other obstacles that we have to do. We're seeing them as opportunities, quite honestly. And the forecast, for industrial and this type of development is that it's going to continue to be okay for quite some time. I know there's talks about other things in the economy right now, but that's not something we're too concerned about, especially here where we're growing in the Southeast. It might be a little more concerned in other parts of the country, but we see this as a great opportunity. We see this as a great place to do business. And quite honestly, it's in our backyard. Our main headquarters is in Columbia, but our, for lack of a better term, secondary headquarters is actually in Charlotte. So the way that breaks down, one of our co-founders lives in Columbia, South Carolina, and the other one lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he's a North Carolina boy, so he's very proud of this project and the opportunities that he's bringing to what he considers his community.
Any other questions? So basically, all we're doing today is taking the 4.2 million that we've already committed to, and we are moving it from the period of time when you have leased or sold a building to a point in time when you have a certificate of occupancy.
It's technically not I just want to make this point clear, Mr. Green, and I don't want to confuse anyone. It's technically not a certificate of occupancy because it's still a shell building. What it is the closeout of the shell building permit, and typically what that is called is the certificate of completion.
That's my error. You're exactly right. I read it the wrong way. I'm sorry.
No, sir, I just now know you're human. First mistake I've seen you make.
Talk to my
around.
wife.
Stick around.
And Mr. Green, I will point out as well for the rest of the commissioners and anyone that, you know, the citizens listening, this is upon completion of those offsite improvements as well, those public improvements. So it's not upfront. It is still performance-based. We still have to perform. That work still has to be completed to NCDOT standards and them sign off, as well as Rowan-Salisbury utilities.
Is there anybody else who would like to come forward and add or be informed of any part of this? Who's back in the back? Is April back in the back?
Yep.
April, is anybody on the phone that we should?
Yes,
Pardon
we can
me?
invite our remote participants at this time. If you're joining us by phone, you can press *9. Or if you're joining us through the Zoom application, if you can use the raise your hand feature, we'll recognize you for comment. I do not see anyone wishing to speak at this time, sir.
All right. I don't see anybody else that's raising their hand or wanting to get up, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to approve the revised incentive terms for Red Rock? So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. All right. We'll now hear from Ed Muir. No, Ed's not here. Shane. We'll hear from Shane then.
I'm gonna pitch it today here for Mr. Muir. So this request before the board, zoning text amendment 0122, is submitted on behalf of Duke Energy. And it's a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance to create an option for what's termed a wireless or a utility wireless support structure. So included within this request, one is a definition to create what we're talking about here. So the term utility wireless support structure is a new monopole design that is used exclusively for a public utility, public service provider. And we'll get into those details here shortly, but very short and sweet, a specific user. And once we get into 2156, here are the requirements, and this would be an administrative review. So within this type of structure, it's used for communication to maintain the operation, either the power grid or utility pipelines. That's probably the two most common that you're going to see. And again, Duke Energy looked at our ordinance, and you do have the option of a special use permit to be a tower just like any other in the county. And in their case here, they opted for the text amendment to create these standards. And again, just to touch on a few, that in any zoning district, they're approved administratively. So that's staff. And a few ask of the applicant. 1 and 3 are similar in that we're asking for documentation that this is an exclusive user for either Duke Energy, Colonial Pipeline, and uses like that. It's not going to be for Verizon or other users to locate on that tower. If that were the case, we would look at it as a regular wireless support structure. 2 is a copy of their site plan by the engineer or surveyor. 4 is the fall zone for landing within their lease area. 5 would be the no hazard to air navigation. and SHPO for any determination if there's a concern at that level. Both of these within 6 months of submittal. Number 6, the structure will be capped at 150 feet in height. Again, monopole design, so that's a single pole, not the lattice style or the guy wires. And this came from the planning board. Actually, the applicant requested 199, and then we, at staff level, encouraged that to be dropped to 150. So the 199 resurrected at the planning board level for these few districts here, RA, RR, and then 250 in the CBI industrial and 85 ED. That is a ask if the applicant, for whatever reason, and it doesn't seem like there's probably ever going to be a site that would need to go over the 150. But if it did need to take advantage of this 49 additional feet in these districts and the additional 100 feet, they can come to this board and ask during a special use permit request. So that's all that encompasses. So on the administrative level, it would not be more than 150 feet tall. And 7 is to identify that if there is an existing tower somewhere in the county that they could locate on and it would serve their needs, then they're a typical co-location like any other wireless setup. And then the latter part's just to close the gap that you couldn't build the tower to hang one of these and sort of go with the other process of excluding the special use permit option. You can't read this, I'm sure, from your screen or the audience either, but this is a table of uses, and all it means is they're all the districts. Special use is not required. It's administrative, and all districts for the 150-foot towers or less. Here's a visual of what we're talking about. A pole might look like, and typically they're going to be on the the facility of the substation or whatever utility provider. Planning board, with the one inclusion I mentioned there of providing that other option for going a little bit higher and coming before this board, the statement of consistency, they did vote to recommend approval and offer this for the board's consideration. And some folks with the applicant may be remote. If you have any questions, they participated with the planning board meeting and may be online as well if the board has questions. Any I can address.
All right. If there's no questions, we would like to open the public hearing for citizens input for ZTA 0122. Yes, sir. Who's come forward? That's fine. Just come up here and give us your name and address.
They're not giving evidence. He's just summarizing his client's position. So that's why we don't swear them. Not that they can't tell the truth.
He's just not required to tell the truth.
We're getting a little bit too deep into the background of lawyers here.
I'm sorry. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. My name is James Todd. I'm with Smith Anderson. We're the attorneys for the applicant, Duke Energy Carolinas. I think we may have a couple of folks from Duke that are on the phone. And so I'm not here to answer specific back questions about the use. But I just wanted to acknowledge that we were here. Thank you to the county for their consideration and appreciate the report from staff. I think it did a good job. And just very briefly, this is not really a new use. This is meant to address maybe a lack of clarity in the code. Section 21-277 of your ordinance exempts utilities and utility equipment from a number of regulations. This particular use looks a lot like a cell tower. And so because of that ambiguity in the code, whether it was or was not utilities, this change to 2156 is meant to close that gap, clear it up, and create a process with the conditions that that staff just ran through to create some guidelines for this monopole. These are used for monitoring of sites that are replacement in areas where fiber optic is not available. The intent is to locate them on the substation or other utility site. And then they're subject to the rules that we just saw in terms of height, uses, and the process that they go through. So I don't have a whole lot to add. I think we may have some people here if there are specific questions about the facts of the use or how it works. But otherwise, just thank the county and this board for their consideration, and appreciate being here.
Anybody else have any questions they'd like to be answered? Or make any general statements? All right, seeing none, April?
Yes, sir. We'd like to invite our remote participants at this time. If you're interested in speaking, *9 for our folks joining by phone, or raise your hand for the folks joining through the Zoom application. And Mr. Vice Chairman, I don't see anyone indicating they wish to speak at this time.
Okay, we'll close the hearing. Commissioners, we have a recommended statement of consistency, which is that ZTA 0122 is reasonable, appropriate, and necessary to meet the needs of public service utilities for the installation of communications equipment to monitor their facilities, as these utility wireless support structures were not deemed an exemption or modification provided in section 21277 of the Rowan County zoning ordinance. The proposed special requirements provide general standards to ensure the use is governed appropriately in all zoning districts. Do I have a motion to approve the statement of consistency as read? Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve ZTA 0122 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. At this time, Rowan Planning Technician Pamela Early will present the staff report for 3 road change requests.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Pam Ely. I work with Planning and Development. And I have 3 requests today. If it pleases the commissioners, I think we could probably consider them as one, if you would like me to go over them that way.
That's fine. We can do that.
The first one is Oregon Church Road. When the realignment was done several years back, there is a section that was somewhat orphaned that used to be where the intersection is. It is technically, those 3 circled areas are still technically addressed Oregon Church Road, and it makes it very confusing for mail carriers and emergency services. So it was suggested that be renamed. I received 2 petitions back, and the only name that was acceptable out of that was the Polka Dot Lane. And so that was the recommendation for that one. It's 2 address changes and 1 is a utility site. The next one is going to be off of Vanderbilt Avenue. What has happened there is we have somebody that is building a home. And if you notice, we have a 206 address, and then way up here at the top, we have a 208, which basically leaves no numbers for this piece of property right in here. The house is actually going to be built right here, and the property owner owns all of this. The person the house is being built for is handicapped. So after some discussion, we felt it'd be proper to name that address. So if he would ever need emergency services. So I did get a petition back from that family, and the road proposed that was accepted was Baby B Lane. And then the final one is off of Jones Road. This is one where there's more than 2 houses sharing a driveway. You can see the driveway coming in here. And then I have the 4 circled addresses that are all sharing the same driveway. Did send letters out, didn't get any reply. So the proposed name that the staff came up with is Seals Creek Trail. And this is basically just per ordinance because there's more than 2 houses on the driveway.
What do they use for their mailing address now?
Jones Road.
And that's the road out front?
Right. But if you notice, I know there was an incident. This was actually brought to us by emergency services. If you see how far back this, I believe it's a mobile home. There was a delay of care getting to that because as you can see, it's very, very far back. At least if the road was named, emergency services feels like they could have got there a little bit more efficiently.
Now, that's an unpaved road that goes on to Jones Road.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. And we did send out to all the people that are involved with address changes, plus neighbors, the information, signs were posted, it was in the paper. The office got no response. Any questions?
We're changing names, but this one because there's so many people that live on that driveway.
Seals Creek, yes, sir.
Other than,
Ordinance says if there's more than 2 accessing a driveway, then the driveway should be named.
but is it still technically still a driveway? Or does it become a road at some point because we do that?
It's technically a private road.
Okay, a private road, I got you. So it's always been a private, we're just using the driveway and
We're just
private road
naming
interchanging.
it to
I
make it
got you.
more,
Gotcha.
basically for emergency services, to care for these people that are way off the road.
Who will be responsible for the house numbers?
Who assigns them?
Yeah,
Typically, it's staff at the planning in coordination with GPS and 911.
that was my concern. I'll make sure emergency services is aware that there'll be
Always
a number
vetted
change.
through.
Okay.
What, I'm just curious, I mean, if you said normally you send letters out telling folks about this meeting and you didn't get a reply either way. But curious, where do y'all get the names from? Is there like a name generator you use or like where'd Polka Dot?
For like where we came up, well, Polka Dot was suggested by the homeowner.
Okay,
Okay, I personally came up with Seals Creek. I just did a little research on the area and I know that's one of the creeks in that area.
okay,
I tried to make it a little bit meaningful.
gotcha, okay.
And every name is cleared through 911 before it's brought here. Else?
Everybody good? Ms. Ely, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation. At this time, I'm going to open this for a public hearing to receive comments from anyone wishing to address the board on the proposed changes.
Good afternoon. I just want to let you guys know that I live on this road that they're talking about. And there is another road, Seals Creek Lane, that's like 4 miles away from us. And we think that that's going to confuse our mail carriers because our mail comes from Mooresville. That's where our mail carriers come from. So it took them several years to actually get the mail straightened out where it's kind of halfway decent that we get our mail on time and stuff like that now. So what we have proposed is to name it Jones Farm Road. That way, if they do get the addresses wrong, at least they'll still be on the right road to kind of getting us our mail. But if we get something that's similar to another road 4 miles away, there's no telling when we'll get our mail or if we do. And I understand that it's off the road and everything. Actually, my grandfather and my great grandfather made this road to tend the land around there because it's part of the old farm place. But if we do the Seals Creek Trail, like I said, and the Seals Creek Lane Road 4 miles away, then our mail carriers coming from Mooresville, and that road being kind of right there at the line of Mooresville, I think that it's just going to be that much more confusing for us to get our packages and mail and stuff like that. That's why we proposed the Jones Farm Road instead of the road that she has up there now. Allen, Lipscomb, 805 Jones Road.
Well. Pam, are you aware of the alternate name?
No, not a problem. The Seals Creek that I guess he's referring to, is that in Iredell County?
Yes, it's right there at the line.
So I did not look in Iredell County. I can note that name. We would still have to look and see if we have any Jones Farm roads in the area. Again, we wouldn't want to duplicate.
And in the future, if there is like a problem with the Jones Farm Road, if we could be notified to let us know where we could come up with something else. We did have a list, but this was the one that we thought would fit best. That way, if it's going to be a easier address change for us in the future to just add the Farm Road instead of just Jones Road, because like I said, the mail carriers already get confused as it is. And with us getting our mail coming out of Mooresville offices, because it was indexed because of our phone number being a Mooresville phone number. So that's how the complication got started. So we was trying to lessen the complication for our address change and for the mail carriers and everything in the area.
Now, where's your Jones Road at?
It's in Mount Ella, you know where the Lazy Five Ranch is?
Yep.
We're just right past that
We've got another Jones Road
in Woodleaf.
right off of Woodleaf.
Yes.
Road on there. Pam, you think we ought to research this a little bit more and see if the Jones Farm Road works? We certainly don't want to cause confusion about this.
You can hold this hearing open and table it to your next meeting or table it for 30 days, whatever period of time you think is adequate. And that way we can hold this public hearing open and come back and continue it and resume it rather than having to republish. Is there no need to do the other two?
Yeah, can we go and do the other two roads?
Sure, we can do the other one. So just for this one, you would move to continue this public hearing to some date in July or August.
I just say, I think we do all three roads in one public hearing.
That's the way we opened it up. Now we can.
Issues with the other two?
No, there's not that I know of.
All those today and just hold this one
So
open.
let's just hold this one open.
Ask her how long she thinks it'll take to run this back around.
Would 30 days be enough? Let's say no. If we got to, this is June, we may not have a meeting. We got to decide which meeting we're not going to have in
How about
July.
first meeting in August?
Will 30 days be enough for you, Pam? Okay, all right. Whichever meeting we decide to have in July, then you can have it ready, whether it's the first or the second meeting. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll do that if that's
All right.
suitable with you folks. We'll make those changes.
Need a motion and board action. Do we need to close the public hearing?
We're going to close it.
No.
keep the public hearing moving, keep it open.
All right, just moving to, all right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to hold this public hearing open until the second, whatever meeting we determine in July.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Well, we're going to hold that open. And now we need to vote
On this.
I can't close the meeting, but we can still take a motion to approve the other two addresses as presented today.
So moved.
So second. All in favor, say aye. All right, motion carries. All right. I'd like to welcome Mr. Anthony Van from the Rowan-Salisbury School System. Mr. Van will be making two presentations to us. The first is consideration of a real estate purchase contract for Richard's Restaurant property.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I am here today to discuss a real estate purchase contract with the school system and Richard's Barbecue, which is adjacent to our central office there at 500 North Main Street. There's approximately 1.83 acres. That's part of Richard's property. It's 3 tax maps there, 3 listings, and it totals approximately 0.83 acres. We are seeking to purchase that for multiple reasons. One is the geographic location. Obviously, it's in our parking lot. The second reason is that our board would like to expand, possibility of expanding our school nutrition program and our catering program, which would be the proximity to our office and the number of functions we have at our office currently there at 500 North Main. That would be an ideal location for us. And it is already geared for a kitchen type, catering type business. And also we had looked at some CTE training situations for some of our students. So the current negotiated price that we have is $440,000. And we have on the real estate purchase contract, you'll notice obviously that contingent upon several things. One would be approval by the commissioners to allow us to move forward. And the other is certainly we would have an updated survey of the property. We would make sure a determination that the site water and the wastewater are acceptable on that and would be for what we could use it for. Also, there would be a determination to make sure that there's no engineering or land planning conditions that would affect the property that we couldn't use it. And also that we would do an environmental assessment study of the property. So assuming that all those check out on a positive note and that you would approve it, our board would like to move forward with the purchase of that property. Glad to try to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
And it's my understanding that the price that you're paying is for the land and then that Richard Monroe is donating the building to the school system. Is that correct?
I do not have that finalized in my packet. I know that our attorney that's doing the closing is working on the final negotiations with the property owner, but I do not have that in my packet at this time.
Well, that's the reason I asked, because he called and told me this. And I want to make sure that it goes on public record that Richard Monroe is donating that building to the school system and that the $440,000 is for the land purchase only. That was how it was explained to me.
Okay. I know that our attorney, Sean Walker, is finalizing that paperwork, and I will certainly contact him after leaving. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So does this go to the upset bid process, or because it's educational, you don't have to do it?
Not the purchase of the property. No, sir. Not the purchase of Richards. We wouldn't go through the upset bid process. We have negotiated that.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Private sale, and then
would he have, I'm sorry, I got backwards. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
If he, So if somebody came in and wanted more for his property, because it's kind of what Craig's talking about, is because he's getting, it seemed like a low price to me for a whole restaurant and property in a downtown area.
Well, I can tell you that, it is very close to the appraised value. And it is in a great location. It's just very small. It's 0.83 of an acre. So, it's certainly less than an acre. And I think that may be the reason of the price. Now, could he sell it to someone else? He could. Whenever he determined that he wanted to sell, or he was going to retire or get out of the business, he did come to us first, I was told, and asked if we were interested, because we had worked with him previously on the property where our building is now, on a strip in between. As you recall, we purchased part of it, he purchased part of it. So we had worked with him before, and he knew that we were looking at expanding those programs, and he was interested in the school system getting it. And I think he did talk to some other people about purchase, but he said, what he told me was, I would like to see the school system get it and be able to utilize it to help our students.
So, okay. So you think you would be able to also give him a donation for part of the price?
If our attorneys can work that out, I don't have an issue with that. If our attorneys can work that out with him on the final sale. I know our board has approved a set amount based on those conditions. So if our attorney can work it out, finalize it, then I certainly don't have an issue with it.
And there's no tax consequences to the school system or anybody. Well, the only one that has the tax consequences is Richard.
We see it as a good opportunity. Like I said, it is in our parking lot, and we see it as a good opportunity to help our foods department and to be able to do some training with our CTE, our culinary students. So we're very excited about that possibility. We would ask if it would be acceptable, we would ask for the board's consideration for us to move forward on that.
All right. No more questions from the board. Do I have a motion to approve the real estate purchase contract?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Van, you have a second presentation which pertains to the Enochville Elementary School property.
We do, as you recall, our board, if I can get it to move forward here. As you recall, our board declared Enochville Elementary School surplus back in January of 2021. And as you know, that our general statute 115C 518 requires that all boards of education come to the county commissioners, and certainly gives them first right of refusal before we look at disposal. And so currently, our board has received an offer to purchase the building for $500,000. Enochville is located at 529 North Enochville Avenue, China Grove, and there's approximately 8.44 acres there. And the main structure was constructed in 1941. Building's been around a little while. So what our board would like to do is, they've given me direction to come to you, and if it's approved by you to move forward with the upset bid process, we would take that offer of $500,000 and we would publish it in the local paper and go through the 10-day upset bid process as statute requires us to do. And this is a overall shot, a Google Earth shot that shows the building. You can see the mobiles and et cetera, the layout of the lot. So we did want to include that, kind of give you a form of reference there. And of course, that we would ask that you would either give us a decision that you either want it or that you commissioners do not want it, and you allow us to move forward with the upset bid process so we can dispose of the property. Glad to answer any questions the board may have.
So who's made an offer on it?
The offer was made by Fusion City Church. I think they've been working out of the Kannapolis area, and we talked to them about a lease to start with, and they said a lease would not be their preference. They'd rather purchase the building. So they gave us a offer in writing for $500,000 for the property. So I've been in contact with them, and I have let them know that that if it is approved by the commissioners, we do have to go through the 10-day upset bid process, and there's a possibility that others would bid on the property.
Mr. Van, is that price close or above the appraisal price?
We received an appraisal sometime back whenever we declared the board declared faith in Enochville surplus at the same time. We got an appraisal on faith at that time, and I asked our appraisal to do one on Enochville as well. And the appraisal on Enochville is slightly over $2 million was the appraised value. Assuming that someone will want the land and building.
Yeah.
Typically,
Okay, so that was what year that came back?
That was March of 2021. That's when the appraisal was done on Enochville, March 2021.
So we really hadn't at that time really experienced the inflation and property values.
Not like now, no ma'am.
Thank you.
Not like now. One thing that we have found, unless you're going to use the building for a specific purpose, most folks like the property, but they don't want the building because sometimes for them, the building is a liability instead of the asset. So most folks want the property, but in this situation, I think they are going to try to utilize, my understanding is they're going to try to utilize the building, their services.
And typically tearing it down, I know Woodleaf, when we faced that, was what, $300,000?
Yes, sir, somewhere in that range. And at today's prices, I'm sure it would, my assumption would be, it would be substantially higher than that to tear all that down and haul it off. You would probably be closer in the $500,000 range probably at this point. And that's just a guess based on what we've done in the past. So it's very expensive to tear down, especially now with fuel prices and labor prices currently.
What, my daughter went to, she got moved over to Millbridge, and they had kids meeting in the cafeteria because there wasn't enough room.
I'm sorry?
So my daughter went to Millbridge last year.
Right.
And they had kids meeting in the lunchroom for class, but they didn't have enough room. So what's with all these houses that they're looking at building down there, what's the plan?
I see substantial growth in that area. I know you do. And I have actually contracted with a person to help us do a study for that area so we can estimate the growth that's coming in addition to what's happening right now. And so we can better utilize our facilities. I see the need in the not so distant future that we're going to need some facilities in that part of the county. We looked at this property for the possibility of a new structure, and my recommendation would be that we would look at some other property in that area instead of this property to if we were going to work on an addition or a new facility. This is 8.44 acres, and with today's guidelines, typically that would be pretty small for what we would need to use it for. So we do see growth in that area. I don't think that our board at this point believes that that would be something that we could utilize to solve that problem.
So you think the board's pretty much, they're never going to put anything back in there?
Think what? I'm sorry. I can't hardly hear you.
Your board's never going to put anything back into that school.
I do not think, of course, that's a school board decision, but I do not see our board or believe that our board's interested in putting anything back in that school at this point. No, sir. There's a lot of needs there with the year built. And that was part of the reason why we closed and consolidated. So at this point, I've not gotten any indication from our board that they're interested in utilizing that for anything at this point.
And when did you say the first structures were built there?
1941, I think. I think it was 1941. Yes, sir. Been around a long time.
All right, any other questions? April?
Any of our remote participants, if you have questions, you can use the raise your hand feature or *9. Don't see any indication, sir.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, then we'll take a motion to either accept or decline the offer from Rowan-Salisbury Systems for the Enochville Elementary property.
I make a motion to accept the offer.
Well, I don't think we're accepting the offer, are we? We're just declining that whether we
Or
want it or
accept the
not.
sale, whatever you want.
We're declining their offer. We're declining their offer back to us so they can accept.
The offer.
Correct.
For that.
We don't want it.
Everybody got that? This is just, we are declining
Declining
the
to buy.
property.
Yeah.
Any use for it.
But we don't have any use for it.
That's
Is there a
my
second?
second. I'll second my own. Somebody say something.
What's that?
Okay, can I second it? I'll second. So at this time, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you,
All right.
commissioners. Thank you.
All right. The next item up is our schedule for July. I don't have a calendar. Let's look at it. Here it is. The first Monday in July is the 4th.
We'll do that.
We'll do that. And I don't know what your vacation schedules are, but
Yeah, we've already moved that to the 5th. We did that earlier this year.
we did.
Yeah, but we don't have to meet
Okay.
then either.
Well, we're talking about doing away with
The first.
either
meeting.
the 5th or the 19th as you choose.
Doesn't really matter to me, either one, but I have military duty on the 19th, so
On the
I
19th,
probably wouldn't be here whether you have it or on the 18th.
18th is
Yeah.
Monday, so we can still do that.
excuse me, it is the 18th.
If we have anything pressing that we can put it off a month. I guess we could do a call meeting if we had to. I'd vote to abolish the 5th.
Saying to abolish the 5th. I made it on the 5th. Okay. All right, so there is a motion that we would not meet in the first week which is, we've said was going to be the 5th. We're not going to meet. Folks approve of it. We'll take a vote right now. All the people that are in favor of abolishing the 5th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That'll do it.
Okay. So we'll set our meeting for the 18th.
Yep.
Okay. I guess Jim did. Moving on. All right, at this point in time, we'll do budget amendments. Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Board appointments. Okay. Hold on just a minute. Let me. Here. All right, adult care home advisory committee. James Emmett applied for reappointment for a 3-year term, which would expire June the 30th, 2025.
Nominate James Emmett.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Airport Advisory Board. Mark Comer resigned due to changes in his work schedule, preventing him from attending meetings. Board is asked to accept Mr. Comer's resignation.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The resignation creates one opening for a member of the business community with a term that will expire June the 30th, 2023. 4 applicants have been received. However, with the exception of Mr. Collins, 3 of the applicants are users of the airport. I'd like to nominate Dwight Collins.
Second.
He is,
I nominate Gary Perry.
and we vote on one at a time, don't we?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have a problem. I've been on that board a long time and I'm still active with the airport. And one of the biggest problems we have is they load that board up with people that use the airport. So you don't get an unbiased opinion of really how it's moving forward business-wise. So I think we need to eliminate the 3 that are airport users because they're not looking at this thing from the same standpoint as those that are business people.
Okay, so we'll take them in the order they were nominated. And the first nominee was Dwight Collins.
Second.
And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So that carried.
Yeah.
Dwight Collins will be the representative. Town of Cleveland Zoning and Planning Board, ETJ. Eugene Atkins applied for reappointment as an ETJ representative. However, he is not eligible based on the term limits in the resolutions adopted by the Board of Commissioners that governs the advisory board appointment process. The Mayor of Cleveland has requested the board consider waiving the term limits and reappoint Mr. Atkins. If approved, the term will expire May the 31st, 2025. Is there a motion?
Do we need a motion to waive term limits first?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to waive the term limits.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Then I make a motion to nominate Eugene Atkins for the reappointment to the ETJ representative.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Central Iowa Workforce Development Board, Desiree Dunston and John Michael Beaver both applied for reappointment as private sector representatives. If approved, their terms will expire June the 30th, 2024. Are we waiving anything?
Are there 2 openings? Okay,
There are two openings.
that's what I want to make sure it didn't say there were. I'll nominate Desiree Dunstan and John Michael Beaver.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Salisbury Rowan Community Action Agency. Amy Archer Brown applied for reappointment for a 2-year term, which will expire June the 30th, 2024.
Nominate Amy Brown.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Town of Faith Zoning, ETJ. Lou Gamewell applied for reappointment as an ETJ member, and if approved, the term would expire May the 31st, 2025.
Nominate Lou Gamble.
The motion is a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. The following are current members of the JCPC who applied for reappointment. If approved, a term for each would expire June the 30th, 2024. Jenny Lee.
I move we appoint Jenny Lee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sarah.
Appoint Sarah Schaller.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move that we appoint Haley Gardner Shipping.
All in favor. Is there a
I'll
second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move that we appoint Carol Ann Haupt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move we approve Carla Johnston for a 2-year term.
Carla Johnson is a social work supervisor at DSS. Ms. Johnson applied to fill a vacant seat for a member of the Rowan of the public representing interest of families of at-risk juveniles. The term would be for 2 years and expire June the 30th, 2024. We have a motion and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Rowan Cabarrus Community College Board of Trustees, Dr. Lynn Marsh, term expires June the 30th, 2022, and she does not wish to be reappointed at this time. An application was received from Elizabeth Cook, and a letter was received from Dr. Spalding, president of RCCC, supporting the appointment. The term is for 4 years and will expire June the 30th, 2026. Make a motion that we accept this. Well, we don't have to do her resignation. She will leave. And the appointment for Elizabeth Cook. There a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Term is for 4 years and will expire June 2026. Rowan County Board of Adjustment. Michael Harrell applied for reappointment for a 3-year term that will expire June the 30th, 2025. Is there a motion that we accept, Mr. Harrell?
So
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Board of Social Services, Alan King applied to fill a county seat that will become vacant on June the 30th, 2022. Term would be for 3 years and expire June the 30th, 2025.
I move we appoint Alan King.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now we'll go to closed
At this
session.
point in time, I move the board enter into closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11 A1 to consider approval of the minutes of the closed session held on May the 2nd, 2022 in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A3 for attorney-client privilege regarding airport leases. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll start as soon as the room is cleared.
I move we come out of closed session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have, or I'd like to make a motion here to make a motion to either renew or not renew the leases for hangar 61A, 61B, hangar 26, 44, and 58.
Second.
I need a second
To not.
to not renew.
Correct.
Okay, I thought you made the motion, you seconded it.
Mhm.
Okay,
We just need to
I did make
vote.
a motion, I beg your pardon.
Yes, you did.
I'm going a little crazy here.
Oh, no.
All in favor of this motion, say aye.
hi.
Anybody opposed, say likewise. I will now take
Motion to
a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn. And motion is, everybody's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Let's go home.